It's a staggering projection. 2025 is on track to set the record for the most new cancer cases reported in a single year. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. With more than 2 million cases expected, the American Cancer Society's data paints a fresh picture of what the disease looks like and how the burden is shifting.
Americans 65 and older continue to have the highest risk, but a trend of diagnoses among young and middle-aged women is on the rise.
For the first time ever, women under the age of 65 are more likely to develop cancer than men in the same age group.
Reporter Heather Graff takes an in-depth look at how we got here and how potentially life-saving research can be part of the solution.
Plus, she speaks with women sharing their stories of healing and hope.
I just thought it was par for the course.
When Lynn Bare first started to notice some abnormal bleeding, she assumed it was menopause kicking in.
I did not even think about it being something other than that.
The North Carolina native was 54 at the time.
Cancer was not on my radar, not at all.
Not on her radar, but it found her nonetheless. In August 2020, Lynn learned she had endometrial cancer, the most common type in the uterus.
It's sort of like your world stops for a moment.
According to the American Cancer Society, diagnoses have increased each year for the last 2 decades. The death rate is increasing too.
Was your mindset, I'm too young to die?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lynn's cancer was aggressive, already stage 4, meaning it had spread to other parts of her body. But with 2 children and a teaching job she loved, she says death wasn't an option.
I'm going to put on my battle armor and I'm going to fight.
It's a battle a growing number of women under the age of 65 are enduring today. And not just with endometrial cancer. The number of new cases is rising for many common cancers women face, including breast, liver, and pancreatic cancers.
American Cancer Society and others are really concerned about these trends.
The organization's chief scientific officer, Dr. William Dayhut, says for young and middle-aged women alike, cancer can have a dramatic risk on their quality of life and family. Take those between the ages of 50 and 64.
Women that age oftentimes are well into careers if they're working outside the home, may likely have children at home, taking care of a spouse. So cancer for that population particularly is really likely to impact, large numbers of people outside of the cancer patient herself.
The cancer rates in that demographic have now surpassed men for the first time ever. And for women under 50, they're now almost twice as likely to develop cancer than their male counterparts, with thyroid cancer a major contributor to the increase.
Just was a complete and total shock.
Bryn Silverman understands that reality all too well. She was diagnosed with the disease in 2019 at just 30 years old.
It also just kind of felt like a betrayal, like in a young body that something like that could happen.
Women in the United States are nearly 3 times more likely than men to get thyroid cancer. And the majority of cases occur between the ages of 20 and 55.
I just wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. I just wanted to get married to my partner and move through this world and have a quote-unquote normal for me life,
Today, Bryn says she's grateful to be in remission, but lingering questions still weigh heavily on her mind.
Why did this happen to me when I was 30? Why me? I have no family history of thyroid disease or thyroid cancer. And why women? Why so many young women?
Nearly half of all cancer cases in the U.S. are linked to modifiable risk factors like cigarette smoking and excess body weight. But much about these diseases is still unknown. And for that, Dr. Dayhut says additional research is needed.
Particularly on younger patients, finding why younger patients develop cancer when they do. And then also I think will be clues if we look at older patients who live to their 80s and 90s who don't develop cancer.
At the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona,
Technology is a game changer.
Groundbreaking work is underway in the area of artificial intelligence and uterine cancer.
We can train AI technology to interpret the ultrasounds and combine that with the abnormality found in the woman so that we are able to increase detection rates.
According to gynecological oncologist Dr. Christina Butler, the benefits may not be far off.
I am optimistic that within 5 years we'll see this translate into something that's very applicable for patients.
Back in North Carolina,
I just think how awful it is because it's so life-altering.
Lynn is doing her part in the fight against cancer. Just months after her diagnosis, she joined a Duke Cancer Institute clinical trial. Its goal, to evaluate the use of an immunotherapy drug in combination with chemotherapy for treating endometrial cancer.
What it showed is that you could control the cancer better if the patient received immunotherapy, and not only that, you can actually improve overall survival.
Dr. Angeles Alvarez Secord is the director of gynecologic oncology clinical trials at Duke. She has been by Lynn's side since the beginning and continues to monitor her today.
And every time we get a CT scan and it's negative, it just makes my day.
For Lynn, those scans offer hope. She's now cancer-free, but admits recurrence is always a worry.
You're just not quite sure if something's going to rear its head that you hadn't expected.
Even so, it's not lost on her how lucky she is to be alive.
What does it mean to you to be a survivor?
Oh, it's everything. You know, the opportunity to keep doing things, to watch my family grow, to do things with my friends is everything.
According to the American Cancer Society's latest data, breast cancer is the most common cancer women face in the U.S. For those under the age of 45 with young onset disease, experts say a diagnosis can be particularly devastating. I spoke with Dr. Ann Partridge, who leads the Young and Strong program at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, to learn more.
Not only are they more likely to get it these days, but when they get it, they're more likely to have more aggressive breast cancer. That requires more difficult adjustment, both physically because they're getting so much treatment, and emotionally because it's hard to get through that at a non-normative time in their lives. And that's not just bad for these women, but it's bad for their families and for society.
The Breast Cancer Research Foundation reports women under 40 are nearly 40% more likely to die from the disease.
In 2025 alone, more than 10,000 women are expected to die from the disease.
Now we turn to a nationwide effort to decrease cases and save lives. It's called the Endometrial Cancer Molecularly Targeted Therapy Consortium. It's being spearheaded by Duke Cancer Institute's Dr. Angeles Alvarez Secord, who we introduced you to earlier in the show.
Reporter Heather Graff sat down with Dr. Secord to discuss the innovative partnership between more than 20 leading medical institutions.
Plus, we explore the challenges doctors face and the solutions needed to help find a cure.
Well, one of the big issues that we have is when we're trying to identify why treatments work or don't work, is a lot of the clinical trials include predominantly white patients. They don't include patients from diverse backgrounds. When you're trying to identify what's the best treatment for patients, you need to make sure that your whole group is representative. Maybe about 4% or 5% or less of patients who are participating trials were Black. We were able to increase that representation to over 20%. And so that helps us give a better understanding of why patients are getting these cancers, how can we match these cancers best to show that individualized treatments work compared to chemotherapy. And when you address or look at the data in terms of race and association with outcomes, individuals who identify as Black are at twofold higher risk of death compared to individuals who identify as white.
What do you need most to keep this research progressing and moving forward?
Grant funding. Absolutely. Despite the rising incidence, despite the mortality, the amount of grant funding for endometrial cancer research is less than breast and ovarian and cervical cancer.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think in part it has to do with maybe the review system. I know the grants are being written. I've written some of them. I just think it's a lack of awareness and that investment's needed. And if you increase the funding, the researchers will be there. They'll investigate these cancers, and through research, that's how we make the most meaningful change. That's how we develop these therapies. That's how we better understand how these cancers develop and find ways to prevent them. So I'm hopeful that whether that research funding is going to come from the NIH or we have to dig through it through foundations or other means, but we have to keep that bridge alive.
Because there is a gap.
There's absolutely a gap. There's been gaps in women's health research for decades. This is an area of research that's been underserved, and we need to have a better understanding of the gaps to understand why is this phenomenon happening in the younger age group in women. And this has important impacts because when we look at younger women also, we're talking about the prime of their lives and also the impact on their goals in terms of fertility and do they want to have their own children or not. And these are really important things when you're talking to someone who's younger who gets this diagnosis. I'm hopeful that through innovative technologies and research, we'll be able to find a cure. Ultimately, though, the most important thing is prevention.
More than 3,900 patients are involved in studies and clinical trials to help experts better understand and treat endometrial cancer.
We have more information about that, plus a link to an online tool released in 2025 to help assess your risk for cancer. To learn more, head to InvestigateTV.com and search Cancer in Young Adults.